As the Patriots prepare for life without Tom Brady, this year's draft is tailored for them to address some of their most pressing needs. But who's the best fit for them at each position, and who should they target once their favorite choices are off the board? Welcome to CLNS Media's Draft Central coverage. I'm Bobby Krivitsky here with Evan Lazar and Taylor Kyles, and we are going to sort out some of the toughest toss-ups the Patriots figure to run into during the draft, starting at the quarterback spot. Right now, it seems like the plan is to build around Jarrett Stidham, but Evan, if they go for a quarterback in round one, who should it be?
Well, I actually don't love any of the round one quarterbacks for the Patriots outside of Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa, who we can talk about in a second. But if I had to make a pick, I would go with Jordan Love. And the reason being is I really like how he throws the ball with not just zip when he needs it, but he can also take a little bit off of it. He can hit the window in cover two. He can loft the ball over a linebacker. He can have a little bit more touch and anticipation to his throws. Whereas with Justin Herbert, we're just going 100 miles an hour with the fastball every single time, it seems, when I watch him on tape. So a little bit more control of the ball with Jordan Love, a little bit more of an anticipatory thrower toward the middle of the field. Whereas with Herbert, it's see it, throw it with the cannon, and that's really where we're at right now. But I think both quarterbacks to fit into a pro-style system like New England runs has a long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely, Evan. You hit it on the head. I think both of these guys are pretty similar in that they're athletic, which you love to see, and they've got big arms, and they've got similar deficiencies in that, for me, I agree. I don't really love either one of them in the first round because if I'm getting a guy in the first round, I want him to, at the very least, be able to keep the offense on schedule. So in the quick game, put it where guys can catch it and get some yards after the catch without having to adjust too much and just make the throws that are really expected when they're open. And that's something where I don't think that either one of them does consistently, but where the difference is biggest for me is I think in the playmaking ability downfield that Jordan Love gives you. And like you said, he's got the floater. He knows where to put the ball. He's got a nice back shoulder as well. Whereas Herbert, I don't think has developed that yet, where he really understands how to change it up. And that deficiency, I think, is something that could definitely hurt him when he gets to somewhere like New England, where you got to be able to throw a lot of different types of balls. And it's not something that he's shown at the college level yet. And I know we talked about this earlier, Evan. Mike Leach says, if you're not accurate in college, it's hard for you to be accurate when you get to the pros. And there's certain things you can work on, obviously, footwork, shoulders, mechanical things like that. But when it comes to understanding what kind of ball to throw in certain situations, that's something where it's really hard to learn how to do that at the professional level with everything else on your plate. So I agree. I would go Jordan Love if I'm going anywhere in the first round.
3 for 3. Herbert showed versus Utah and Wisconsin that he can be more of a threat with his legs than he showed for most of the season, and I hope that he goes to a system that's a better fit for him than the one that he played in at Oregon. But with that said, like you guys, I'm more enamored with Love's ability. The Patrick Mahomes comparison, that's a disservice specifically to people who only watch highlights of prospects. But like Mahomes, I think giving him a year to develop behind the scenes while studying and mimicking a variety of offenses will do a lot for his development. But Evan, you're also hearing, we've been fixated on Love and Herbert, that there could be a third quarterback who's falling down the boards and could be within striking distance for the Patriots.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the buzz around the league right now is that Tua Tagovailoa is flunking a bunch of different teams' medicals at the moment. Teams are looking at scans that Tua's camp are sending to them. So they obviously can't get their hands on Tua themselves because of the coronavirus. So the doctors are sending them scans that they're taking in Tua's hometown and then sending those to the teams. And a lot of teams have flunked him on his physical. A couple of teams flunked him on his physical at the combine. And there's really a lot of murmurs right now around the league that we could be looking at a true slide. Now, how far are we talking? I'm not sure. We could be more realistically talking about like the slide that Josh Rosen took a few years ago, where he slid down to 10 versus going all the way down to like where Aaron Rodgers went at 24. I'm not sure we're at that point yet with Tua, because it really only takes one team, right, guys? Like, it takes one team to just want to take that risk and be willing to take that risk. But right now, I think the Patriots could conceivably trade up into that 10 to 15 range and possibly have a chance at Tua Tagovailoa, which a couple months ago, I think you would have thought I was crazy for saying that.
And I personally love Tua. The footwork is fantastic. He's just so confident, and he looks like a very natural quarterback. You know, if health permits, he will succeed at the next level. But I don't know if I'm comfortable trading up with the medical concerns. It's one thing if a guy like that just falls right into your lap, but considering the draft capital they have, they don't have a ton of resources. It looks like, given what they have done in the past, they'd probably like to bolster a little bit more in the second round and get some more picks after the first. So I'm not sure I'd want to give up too much to go up and get him, as much as I do love Tua. But if he's going to fall in their lap like we saw with Aaron Rodgers, I would be more than happy if they made that selection.
It really depends on the situation, right? Because if it becomes like an auction for the pick, right, let's take San Francisco, for example, who are sitting at 13 right now because they made that trade with Indianapolis. If all of a sudden San Francisco opens up the lines and says, Tua Tagovailoa is obviously the next guy that's going to come off the board, who's the highest bidder, then you're going to get into a situation where you're trading like an RG3 type package for Tua, which you don't want to do. But if you look at like the Deshaun Watson trade or the Patrick Mahomes trades in 2017, it was a future first-round pick and your current first-round pick for the rights to draft Deshaun Watson. That's something that you do have to entertain a little bit more, I think. The one thing I will say about Tua's game that isn't a knock on him necessarily, but does worry me a little bit, is if he is in a little bit of a muddy pocket and he's not able to completely set his feet and drive the ball down the field with his footwork, then his ball does float a little bit. It's not exactly as straight line as you would like to see when there's people around him, when there's bodies flying. With that being said, he's like almost Brady-esque with the way that he moves around the pocket, and his ability to reset after he moves is really fantastic. So he has the ability to move off of his spot, then reset, then throw. But the issue is when I see him not be able to set his feet or have to throw off his back foot, or the pressure is kind of in his lap, the ball doesn't have the same kind of trajectory as it does normally.
Evan, is your understanding right now that Tua will be ready to play 2 seasons from now, or is this something that could linger longer?
I would think that Tua is going to sit out 1 year, and that would be next year. And then the following year, he should be healthy and ready to play, which presents a really interesting kind of thing for the Patriots here, because they can still, assuming we have a 2020 season, they can still see what they have in Jared Stidham in 2020 and then not have to worry about the competition with Tua until 2021. And as we know, the Patriots have sold their quarterbacks, their backup quarterbacks, for quite a bit in the past. You know, I know that people have gripes with the Jimmy Garoppolo trade and exactly what they got back in return, but a second-round pick is a second-round pick. Philip Dorsett for Jacoby Brissett, who had 1.5 starts under his belt, is not a terrible return. So that backup quarterback can become a really valuable trade asset, and they can quickly flip that if they have to. And I'm sure that people are going to be kind of cold on wanting to trade up for Tua like Taylor, because you're trading up for a guy that is really has a ton of injury risk, but the upside of it is extremely high. And I think a team like the Patriots are in a really good spot to take that risk, where they kind of need to make a move at either quarterback or the supporting cast or something like that to significantly move the needle. And I'm not sure if any of these other quarterbacks that we're going to talk about between this video or our mid-round video are really going to change anything all that much.
And we know Belichick's willing to gamble. I'm just concerned about the prospect of them not only taking Tua, but trading up to do so and ultimately ending up with someone who can't stay on the field. So that could certainly be a huge hit to a team that has a lot of holes to fill. Like Evan said, plenty of more draft coverage coming. But for Evan and Taylor, I'm Bobby Krivitsky. For all of our Patriots-related content, including Evan's breakdowns of the best fits for the Pats at each position, check out clnsmedia.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Patriots Press Pass.